Hi, welcome back to Master Your Mental Health. I'm Dr. Jackie. This is Alyson Jones.
Hello, everybody.
We're here to discuss an interesting topic today.
Yeah.
Emotional fitness.
Emotional fitness. Exactly.
So, tell me, what is emotional fitness?
Well, emotional fitness is very similar in many ways to physical fitness. Like, we all understand and we have language that we can talk about physical fitness, and everybody knows about it. There's conversations, honest conversations. Mm-hmm. We're trying to have those about emotional fitness. Basically, emotional fitness is an understanding and awareness of your emotions. And why that's important is because the more we understand ourselves, the more we're going to understand other people's emotions. It's kind of the core of empathy. And also, it'll help us achieve goals better, and it'll help us have more deep and meaningful relationships.
I think as an added point, emotional fitness is a time saver because you spend less time in your emotional whatever loop it is that you do, which is a time waster. If you're, so I think having good emotional fitness, just generally, it's like having good physical fitness.
Yeah.
Right? It's mind body.
Yeah, it's going to help you inhabit your life with more ease and use your energy and time more effectively. That's absolutely correct.
We're fond of saying mental health is health, and I think this is a good example of just that.
It is, and it connects then, the way we pay attention to our physical health, we're trying to pay attention to our emotional and mental health here too. So having awareness is going to be important. Now, in saying that, just like in the world, there are a lot of natural athletes, right? People that are just naturally athletic. They're, yes, I'm sorry, but I envy you all. That was not me. So these natural athletes, it's the same thing with emotional fitness too. Mm-hmm. There are some people that are just more natural at it. It just comes easier to understand emotions and themselves. And for some people, it's a challenge, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. Just like there's nothing wrong with you if you're not naturally, physically athletic.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? It just means we have to maybe work a little harder, or we have to have more discipline or structure.
So for those of us who are not emotional athletes,
right,
what are the steps that you would suggest that leads a person toward emotional fitness?
Thank you. That's an excellent question, because and it can be for those that are also naturally emotionally athletic, right? Like for all of us to increase our awareness. But the first thing and the most important thing is it goes back to the body, just like physical health, right? And fitness. It is pay attention to your body. So when you're feeling in a certain way, if you're hot in your chest, if you're getting, a headache, or you're like stomach's upset, pay attention to what those feelings are and what's going on around you at those times. Or if you're feeling awesome and a great feeling, pay attention to what's going on, because our feelings release certain chemicals in our body. And the more we can start to identify that, the more we're going to understand it. So that's kind of the first step, is to really pay attention to what you're feeling.
Can I, as a physician, if you come in with headaches or a stomach ache or any manner of things, it does help us to know if you're having emotional difficulties.
Right. Sharing
like as much as it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So just, a point to make.
And do you, as a physician, do you ask people if they have anything else going on emotionally when they're talking about some of those physical ailments?
I really do, particularly when I'm dealing with children.
Yeah, good point, right? And in children, you often see it come out with them physically in their bodies. So that's a great point. The next step is going to be, once we've paid attention and identified that something's going on, work on labeling it. Give it a name and see if it feels right. I think I'm pretty angry right now, right? And say, how does that sit? I think I'm feeling a little bit nervous and scared. Like, try to identify what your feeling is. So we've got the pay attention to your body. Then we've got, identify what you're actually feeling, put a label on it. And then also, one of my favorite points is be curious. Like, be curious about what you're experiencing. Try not to close off. Try to kind of dig into it a bit. and see it as a story almost, right? That you're like a detective, and you want to figure out what's going on. So be curious about what the mystery is, and to see if you can start to unwind the mystery a little bit.
Another thing that I do actually, and I actually say these words when I'm working with patients, is you can be curious about yourself, but also when you see somebody else struggling, be curious about what's happening with them.
Yes.
So sometimes I actually say to them, I'm curious, have you had any problems at school? Have you had any emotional issues? I'm wondering, or I make a guess at what they might be feeling. I'm wondering if you're feeling blah, blah, blah. And if you've got somebody who's in tune with themselves, they'll say, no, they'll correct you and say, no, that's not it. It's this. And then you can get closer to your, what the issue is.
Great point, right? And one of the things that goes along with that checking in and curiosity and trying to be open to the experience is I'm really going to encourage people to become aware of and try to manage their defensiveness. We're all wired to protect ourselves. And sometimes when we're dealing with emotional stuff and trying to develop emotional fitness, things can feel vulnerable. And so we want to accept the vulnerability and dial down the defensiveness, because this is a really important point, is that defensiveness stops us from growing. It's a very difficult thing to become emotionally aware, healthy, fit if you're defensive. It stops growing. It stops information from coming in. So
like a fence.
Yeah, like a wall, like like you can, it isolates you, and it just does not help in your growth. Right?
Imagine a person sitting behind a wall by themselves, feeling their feelings. Yeah. And somebody's trying to help or challenge that person, and if you're still sitting there behind your wall, it's pretty hard to get that help and assistance, right?
So these are some of the steps. Be aware of your body, pay attention, label, be curious, take down the defenses. And the last point I want to make is, it is the reality. Just like with physical fitness, you got to practice. And the more you practice, the better you get at things. So it's the same thing with emotional fitness. Practice. And the more aware and the more you follow those steps that I was talking about, the more you're going to become emotionally fit. And you will see the payoff in your relationships with the people around you and with your relationship with yourself.
Going to the emotional gym.
Yeah.
It has to be done.
Well, and I would, as a counselor, right, I often say that I'm like a personal trainer.
Good point.
Yeah, an emotional personal trainer. Because I sometimes work my clients hard because I know that they're going to benefit from it, and they're going to feel great when they work through that challenging thing. And it's the same thing with a trainer who's helping you with your fitness.
Thanks so much for all of that information. I think that was a fantastic thing to talk about. I'm actually going to put a précis of the information we just talked about in the description box below, just to remind you guys, like a little workout.
Any sort of questions or any thoughts or comments that you have, please feel free to add them. And like I said, we just really want to get honest conversations going on these topics. Like Jackie and I always say, we're not here dispensing, medical advice or providing direct counseling. We're having conversations about these things. So we really love to hear from you as well.
And we're happy when you join us.
Yay!
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Have fun working out.